A storm looms over the mountains of the northern Philippine region of Cordillera, causing distress among vegetable farmers like 35-year-old single mother Junia Estalilla. While Cordillera's older farmers once tuned in to transistor radios for news on the storm's impact on vegetable prices, Junia now checks online. She uses a radio now only for entertainment.
Drama, ganun. Dinadala po sa garden yung radyo ko. Tapos doon po sa garden nakikinig lang po para hindi po maboring lalo pag nag-iisa po.
As loyalty fades among radio news listeners, local newspapers feel the fury of dwindling revenues. Community newspapers printed out of this high-altitude city of Baguio shrunk from a high of 14 in the mid-2010s to a low of 5 this year. The Philippines' oldest weekly publication, the Baguio Midland Courier, printed its final issue in July, ending its 77 years of community journalism. Its closure left many loyal readers in grief.
Mostly po before Midland. This is where we learn about how our environment is going, ganun po, and paano po sa city, kung ano po ang nagagawa ng aming city government for our environment, for the indigenous people po.
In this current world where we are today, that's filled with misinformation. I think that newspapers still stand as a bastion of truth.
Despite the shrinking of newsrooms, many press on. Baguio remains an intellectual hub in the country's north with a resilient local press. There are currently 5 weekly community newspapers printed out of Baguio City, and this week they have an average of 13 pages filled by an average of under 5 editorial staff members, already including the cartoonists and layout artists. This means that each staff member fulfills multiple roles in their newsrooms, and a quick scan of these 5 papers shows the breadth and depth of issues they cover, including environmental sustainability, agriculture, infrastructure, and regional identity, among others. But willing financial backers are few and far between. Roderick Osis, former editor of Baguio City's only daily newspaper, which closed during the pandemic, spent 22 years as a community journalist.
As a journalist, you have a responsibility to the community. And I think one of the responsibility is exposing the truth, telling the truth to the public. That was one of the driving factor why I stayed. Because every journalist, I feel, is that they have a sense of or duty to the community.
This close-knit group of Cordillera journalists embrace this duty. They debate local issues like zoning rules, earthquake-proofing efforts, and other regional affairs as if they're matters of life and death. Here in what they call the power table, they honor the legacy of Cordilleran journalists before them.
We always had a free press. That's always the paramount thing.
Started with 1970s, ganun na talaga.
Ganun na talaga kami. Yeah. Kung palaaway yung mga editors namin noon, kasi may rason. Kasi may rason. Hindi lang sila nang-aaway because ayaw ka na nila, you know. They're always being issue-based. So they question you on point by point.
Stories, they say, help preserve regional identity, give them the thrill of the chase and the dignity of a job well done, and provide practical help for their community.
Yung role ng journalist as a public intellectual, kahit na very OA ano pa rin eh.
Each one here with a tale to tell of their love for journalism, sometimes with a sense of longing for better prospects.
We have to address that because talagang hirap na hirap yung mga newspapers. The fact that they can hardly hire a regular writer with a decent pay.
Often fired up with humor, but always with love for their craft and community. Buena Bernal, CNA, at the power table among local journalists in Baguio City.